See, supernatural provision. The days and the times we live in demands for supernatural provision. And God made provision for you and I before we came from eternity into time. Before God created man or made man in his own image, he had already set the Garden of Eden and put 4 streams in the Garden of Eden, made provision for man before man came on the scene. And when man came on the scene, the 6th day, God put him in charge. And on the 7th day, he rested because man had taken over from God. But there was provision. Everything he needed to fulfill God's assignment and the will of God for his life was put in place before he came into time, before he was created. Before you were born, everything you ever needed and everything you ever need to be successful in this life, in fulfilling his purpose, his agenda, his will for you and I, and not yours and not mine, was made available before we came into time. And it doesn't matter the dispensation, the geographical location where you live or find yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, believe me that whatever you ever need or desire to fulfill God's plan for your life and my life is available and was made available before you and I came into this world. If you believe it, put your hands together and give God some praise and a shout. God is not under obligation, ladies and gentlemen, to finance and to provide for any assignment outside of his will. Anything that you and I desire to do for self and for our glory, God is not under obligation to provide for it. Jeremiah 45:5, seekest thou great things for thyself, seek them not. Seekest thou great things for self, seek them not. Seekest thou great things for thyself, seek them not. He that comes after me must take up his cross and deny himself and follow me. Deny himself, deny himself, deny himself. It's self-denials. The difference between the first and the second Adam was the fact that the first Adam insisted on his will and decided to do what he wanted to do. Even though God had told him the consequence, he still decided that he would do what he wanted to do. And God said, you on your own. You choose to do your will. I'm not entitled and I'm not under obligation to finance, to support, and to provide for what you need. And God said, I made provision in the Garden of Eden for you to fulfill my purpose. But if you choose to do your own thing, I will get you out of the garden. And the Bible said, God sent an angel with a flaming sword, stood at the gate of the garden and kicked them out of the garden and said, get out of my garden. The provision I made was not designed for you to do your own thing. It was designed for my glory, my agenda, my original intent. And as long as you are committed to my agenda and my original intent, I am committed to you. And I'm under obligation. It doesn't matter the dispensation, the time and the season and the geographical location where you live. I am obligated to provide for you. If you receive it, put your hands together and give God some praise. You know, ladies and gentlemen, when the children of Israel left the land of Egypt, book of Exodus, how for 40 years they walked the land in the desert. For 40 years in the wilderness. And the Bible said their dress, their suit, their jacket, their shoes, everything expanded and grew on them as they grew. And it was still brand new. They didn't go to Walmart, to ShopRite. They didn't go to any of our shops and call it what? All the names you can give it to that we shop from. There was no shopping mall in the wilderness for 40 years. They didn't buy, they did not sell, and yet their shoes were brand new. The same. They didn't have seamstresses. They didn't have tailors. They didn't buy any hair. They didn't buy hair from India or anywhere. But their hair was always fresh and looked good, looked beautiful, smelled good all the time. 40 years in the wilderness. God said, I will make provision for you even in the desert. The Bible said he makes a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. It doesn't matter if you live in a desert or you live in a wilderness. God is under obligation to make a way. Are you hearing me, somebody? If you believe it and you receive it, lift up your hands, shout yes.